The truth, no one wants to hear. You're not manifesting what you want, you're manifesting what you are. Let that settle in. Not what you dream about, not what you write in your journal, not what you whisper into the universe at 11:11. You're manifesting the frequency your entire being silently radiates, even when you're not trying. What if I told you that every time you felt unseen, unloved, rejected, stuck, or small, you were actually manifesting with perfect precision? It's just that you didn't realize you were the blueprint. You've asked, you've visualized, you've tried to feel good, to think positive, to let go. And still, life keeps circling back to the same patterns, the same emptiness, the same quiet disappointment. It's not because the universe is ignoring you. It's because your energy is louder than your words. You don't attract what you ask for. You attract what you vibrate, even when you don't know you're doing it. That desire you hold, it's valid, it's sacred, but it's not the command center. Your subconscious energy is, and it's been transmitting non-stop since before you were even aware you had a signal. So the question is not, why hasn't it come? The real question is, what am I really broadcasting without knowing it? This isn't about guilt, it's about revelation. It's about finally seeing why it's not working. Not because you're broken, but because you're misaligned. What's coming next might feel like a mirror held up to your soul, but sometimes truth isn't harsh, it's healing. Sometimes awakening doesn't come with fireworks. It begins in silence, in stillness, in a truth that's been waiting for you to see it. And that truth is this: you're not creating from what you want. You're creating from who you're still being. And the shift begins now. The desire that sabotages you. There's a silent ache behind every wish, a feeling that says, if I could just get this one thing, I'd finally feel whole. But have you ever noticed that the more desperate the desire, the more it slips through your fingers? It's not that wanting is wrong. Wanting is part of being human, but the energy beneath the wanting, that's what the universe listens to. Sometimes, when you want something so badly, your entire being starts to scream what's missing, not what's possible. And without realizing it, you begin manifesting lack, not fulfillment. You say you want abundance, but your nervous system is still bracing for the next bill. You say you want love, but your body still remembers the pain of being left. You say you want change, but your cells still vibrate with fear of losing control. That hidden frequency, that's what's creating your outcomes, because what you feel in your bones is louder than what you speak with your mouth. And here's the twist. The more intense you're craving, the more your subconscious might be looping the very energy you're trying to escape. But what if the pain behind your desire is the actual signal? What if your wish is not a command to the universe, but a mirror showing you who you still believe you are? You've seen it before, you just didn't know how to read it. Desire, when born from inner stillness, becomes a creative force. But desire born from the ache of unworthiness becomes a frequency trap, and many of us have been manifesting from that trap for years. Can you feel that? That edge between hope and heartbreak? That's where the sabotage begins, not because you're broken, but because your system was wired in survival, not coherence. And survival can't manifest freedom, it only repeats patterns. The trap of positive thinking. You've been told to think positively, to repeat affirmations, to visualize the outcome, to just feel good. But deep down, did it ever feel forced, like you were trying to paint over a crack in the wall without fixing what's underneath? That's because the subconscious doesn't respond to pretty words, it responds to energetic truth. You can repeat, "I am worthy," 1,000 times. But if your nervous system still flinches when you receive love, if your stomach still clenches when money leaves your account, if your breath shortens when you speak your truth, then no affirmation will change what your body still holds as fact. The limbic brain, the emotional center, knows when you're lying to yourself. It knows when your words and your vibration don't match. And when it senses that dissonance, it protects you by rejecting the new. So the positive thinking becomes another mask, another way to bypass the wound, instead of listening to it. You don't need to fake it till you make it. You need to feel it until it no longer controls you. But what if the reason the old techniques stopped working was because they were never meant to override your truth? What if healing starts where pretending ends? You've been trying to manifest from the surface, but your frequency lives deeper than your thoughts. And that's where the shift begins, not in pretending to be okay, but in being honest about where your energy still hurts. The subconscious mirror, how your identity hides the frequency. Most of what you manifest isn't coming from what you think, it's coming from who you believe you are. In silence, in darkness, when no one is watching. 95% of your actions, reactions, and choices are driven by subconscious programs. Not by intention, not by logic, by a vibrational identity that's been shaping your reality since childhood. This identity isn't just mental, it's emotional, it's energetic, it's in the way your body tenses when you receive. It's in the way you hold your breath when you speak your truth. It's in the way you expect things to go wrong, even when everything looks right. That's the mirror. And the problem isn't that you're unaware. The problem is, you've mistaken the old version of you as permanent. You've built a life around an outdated frequency. And every time you try to manifest a new life, your system defaults to protect the identity it knows, even if that identity is built on pain. But what if the part of you that's still suffering is just an echo? What if the frequency you're radiating isn't even yours anymore? Here's a subtle yet powerful practice. Close your eyes. Imagine your vibrational double, the version of you still stuck in old beliefs, fears, patterns, and now slowly begin to reverse the image. Invert it. See who you are without the story. Feel who you are without the fear. That's your hidden frequency. That's the real creator. And until you see the vibrational identity behind your life, you'll keep mistaking sabotage for fate. You've seen the mirror. Now it's time to recognize who's really looking back. Frequency is energetic self-image. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you believe you deserve. And what you believe you deserve is not a thought. It's a frequency, a living, breathing signature encoded in your nervous system, your body, your field. You might dream of love, but if deep down you feel unlovable, you'll repel it the moment it gets close. You might visualize abundance, but if your energy still clings to scarcity, you'll find a way to lose what you gain. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to words, it responds to coherence, and coherence means your desire, emotion, and identity are in harmony. But how often do we want something while silently believing we're not enough to have it? That silent contradiction becomes the barrier. It's not your lack of effort that's blocking your manifestation. It's the emotional noise beneath your efforts. The background hum of, "I don't deserve this," or "It won't last." But what if changing your life isn't about chasing new outcomes? What if it's about upgrading the image you hold of yourself in the quantum mirror, not in an egoic, inflated way, but in a soft, embodied, vibrational way? One where you slowly begin to feel worthy of receiving, even before it shows up. One where you act from the energy of having, not from the ache of lacking. Self-image isn't vanity, it's frequency. And the moment your energetic self-image changes, your field begins to organize a new reality from the inside out. Be careful with desperate desire. Not all desire is creation. Some desires are cries for help. They don't come from expansion, they come from a wound, from a place that says, if I don't get this, I'll never be okay. But the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to resonance. When you want something so badly that it feels like oxygen, your field often transmits the absence of that thing. The wanting becomes a signal of lacking. The urgency becomes a frequency of fear. And the more tightly you grip, the more reality slips through your fingers. It's like trying to grow a tree while stomping on the roots. You can water, you can pray, but if you keep crushing the soil beneath your own feet, nothing can take root. This is what desperate desire does. It unconsciously crushes the very foundation needed for manifestation. But this isn't about shaming your longing. Longing is sacred. It shows you what your soul remembers as possible. The danger is when longing turns into panic, into I'll never feel whole unless this happens, because then you're not creating from essence, you're reacting from void. You've seen it. Chasing love and pushing it away, needing money and repelling every opportunity. Wanting peace and creating more chaos. But what if the desire itself wasn't the issue? What if the desperation was? You don't need to stop wanting. You just need to return to the energy behind the want. Not, I must have this, but I am whole enough to allow this. Not, I need it now, but I am becoming the space where this belongs. Desire, when softened, becomes magnetism. Desire, when desperate, becomes resistance. And the shift is subtle but powerful. The invisible factor of karmic repetition. Sometimes it's not bad luck, it's not timing, it's not the universe saying no. It's your frequency. Repeating a lesson your soul hasn't yet integrated. We call it karma. But not in the way most people think. It's not punishment, it's not fate, it's energetic repetition, looping patterns echoing through your field, waiting to be noticed. You've felt it. The same type of relationship, different name, the same financial struggle, different job. The same emotional cycle, even after years of healing. Why? Because energy doesn't shift through time. It shifts through integration, and integration begins when you stop reacting and start listening. There's a vibrational memory inside your body, in your chest, your gut, your breath. Each unhealed experience leaves behind an energetic imprint, and these imprints become magnets, pulling similar experiences until the energy is finally seen. But what if those patterns were actually messages, not curses, not blocks, messages from your own soul whispering, you're not broken, you're repeating. Imagine this. Right before you react, pause. Feel the familiar emotion rising. Instead of collapsing into it, listen to it. That's the echo. That's the karmic signal. And once you hear the pattern, it starts to dissolve. You don't break karma with effort. You dissolve it with awareness, because karmic loops are not cycles of punishment. They're invitations to become conscious. You've lived inside the loop. Now you get to step outside and choose a new vibration. The silence that reorganizes the field. There's a kind of silence that isn't empty. It's electric. It's sacred. It rearranges everything. We often think transformation needs words, affirmations, declarations. But the field doesn't need noise. It needs presence. Real, grounded, embodied presence, the kind that can only arise when the internal chatter fades and the true self emerges. Because here's the truth. The quantum field listens more to your stillness than to your strategies. When you're deeply present, your energy stops vibrating in old survival patterns. It softens, it reorganizes, it collapses old timelines and begins attracting from coherence, not chaos. Just like in physics, where stationary waves cancel out distortion and create resonance, your stillness becomes a tuning fork for a new frequency. But what if the most powerful manifesting tool isn't action? What if it's quiet alignment? You've seen how things shift after meditation, how people call you right after you release a need, how answers appear when you stop searching. That's not coincidence. That's energetic reorganization. Because silence is not doing nothing. It's doing everything, invisibly. But this silence must be honest, not forced detachment, not spiritual bypass, but the kind of silence that feels like surrender, not giving up, but giving in to the truth that you are already whole. And from that wholeness, creation becomes inevitable. When the noise stops, the frequency speaks. The technique of coherent awakening. You don't shift your frequency in one grand moment of enlightenment. You shift it in micro moments, the small, often invisible choices that reshape your entire energetic baseline. It happens when you catch a thought before it spirals, when you breathe a little deeper instead of tightening your chest, when you soften your jaw instead of clenching down on another truth you didn't speak. It happens in the pause, between reaction and awareness, between impulse and intention. This is where coherence begins, not in dramatic rituals or external changes, but in the way you relate to yourself in the smallest spaces of your day. Imagine a dial inside you, a tuner. Each time you choose alignment, presence, and honesty over panic, resistance, or performance, you turn the dial closer to your true frequency. And when that internal dial is steady, life begins to reflect it. Coherent awakening isn't loud, it's subtle. It's when your thoughts begin to echo your truth. When your body stops bracing for pain, when your energy begins to feel safe, and that safety creates space for new realities to enter. Try this. Next time you feel yourself slipping into old patterns, don't fight it. Notice it, name it, then breathe and make one choice that feels just 1% more aligned. It's not about perfection, it's about repetition, intentional, compassionate repetition, because coherence isn't a state you reach once. It's a state you return to again and again until it becomes your baseline. And when it does, manifestation stops being effort. It becomes the natural consequence of who you've become. You vibrate before you create. Everything you attract begins long before you notice it. It begins in your field, in your breath, in your subtle emotional tone when no one's watching. You don't manifest when you speak your desire out loud. You manifest when your body stops resisting it in silence. Every choice, every reaction, every moment of doubt or surrender, they all build the frequency that precedes your reality. That's why things feel like they just happen. Because by the time they arrive, you've already been vibrating them. And maybe you've been wondering why certain things keep coming back, why no matter how hard you try, some patterns won't release. Why the new life you crave always seems one step away. But what if it's not about what you want? What if it's still about who you've been? Because every reality is a mirror, a perfect reflection of your most consistent vibration. Even the parts you hide, even the parts you don't speak. So the question isn't, what do I want to manifest? The question is, who am I being when I'm not trying to manifest anything at all? That's your real signal. That's what shapes the field. Not your effort, not your vision boards, but the quiet, continuous essence you carry. If something in you is remembering, write in the comments, I've seen the signs. Tell us if you've lived a moment like this. Your story could unlock something for someone else, because you're not manifesting what you want. You're manifesting what you are. This is not the end. It's a beginning you've always carried inside you. If this message touched something deep in you, it's because you already knew. You felt it in moments of stillness. You've heard it in the spaces between your thoughts. Now, let it awaken. And if you felt that, subscribe to this channel, leave your like, write your truth in the comments, and watch the next video we prepared for you. It goes even deeper. There's a path beneath the surface, and here in echoes of the path, you're not walking it alone. You're being remembered, one frequency at a time.